Hello and welcome to Professional Christian Coaching Today. I'm Chris McCluskey.
And I'm Kim Avery.
Join us in raising the standard of coaching and changing the world.
Your best new client is the one you already have. There's a fun little tongue-in-cheek way of saying what our topic is today. It's all about repeat business. Recognizing that when you have done the hard work of securing clients for your caseload, that although that work probably never ends, we always need to be sowing new seed and getting out new opportunities for people to find us or hear of what we do, that the people who have already discovered us and who have come into great relationship with us or experiencing the benefits of us are our very best prospects for further business. And we're going to be exploring in detail why that's true. We're going to look at some statistics that support that notion, and we're going to be talking with one of our key people here on the leadership team at Professional Christian Coaching Institute about exactly what he's found in his private practice and in the projective kind of work that he does helping other businesses grow their businesses.
With that said, it's a joy to have Nathan Krieger joining us again today. Nathan has been consulting for over 15 years and coaching for over 10 years. Here at the Professional Christian Coaching Institute, we have known Nathan since about 2013 when he began as a student, turned into a very generous volunteer, and now serves as our Chief Information Officer. Nathan is a man of many talents and has what we would call a hybrid coaching practice. If that intrigues you, you can learn more about that in episode 278, where he shares his behind-the-scenes view. In that hybrid coaching practice, Nathan does a bit of consulting, a bit of coaching, and some project work. One of the things that's come up for him recently is that awareness that instead of always looking for the next new client, so much of the work he does with people could really just be expanded amongst the people he already has. Well, it turns out Nathan's not alone in thinking this through. There was a recent article late last year put out by Constant Contact, and they gave 5 reasons why repeat customers are better than new customers. And it's not just true for your dry cleaning business or your consulting only business. It's true for coaches as well. That's going to be the basis of our discussion today. With all of that, welcome back, Nathan.
Thank you both. It's a pleasure to be here again.
Okay. So I want to ask for the bottom line truth. Just open the doors right away. If this is an awareness for you that repeat customers are easier to get and more beneficial in many ways than seeking a new one, my guess is there's probably times in your coaching practice where you didn't know that or you didn't practice that, and perhaps you did it wrong. I put that in air quotes. So tell us what brought this to your awareness again.
Sure. I remember early on in my business, I had in my mind that the way to build my business was to keep going out there past all the people that I knew, all the people that already knew, liked, and trusted me, to find these quote unquote cold leads that I wouldn't care if they rejected me, or I really didn't care what they thought about me. I remember one of the early things that I did, I tried a direct mail campaign where I bought a list of 300 people. And I wrote 3 different letters and I hand addressed them, stamped them, put them in the mailbox. And I think I got 1 contact off of that, just going out to get cold leads. After that, I discovered the power of networking and getting to know people, to build trust with people, because at least in my experience, one of the biggest barriers and things to overcome with getting a new client is trust. Building that trust and rapport with somebody. And for somebody who is more introverted like me, that can take a lot of time, attention, and most importantly, energy. Once I've built trust with somebody, it's been far easier for me to just deepen that relationship with them. It's been far more energy efficient for me to see if there's ways that I can up my level of service for them instead of trying to go out and build new relationships or go out and try to find new cold leads for people.
I'm glad you said that because, Nathan, I found the very same patterns that you're identifying here. When I started out early in my business, I thought that this was going to be a volume game. So I was going to have to go after thousands and try to fill the top of the funnel with thousands and thousands of prospects that were hearing about me, and then whittle them down through an extensive process of email contact and follow up by phone, and just trying to make myself valuable to them so that over a nurture campaign of probably many months, I would eventually start to build a stable caseload. And wow, is that draining? Like you said, it's very time consuming, it's very costly, and it's incredibly inefficient. Because the bottom line in anything when people are going to work with you is something we've hammered here on this podcast over and over through the years. And that is that people do business with people they know, like, and trust. So here we were going right past oftentimes the people that were our best prospects. They already knew us. They liked us and they trusted us. Maybe they'd even done business with us already in some other capacity. Now we're a coach, and yet we're thinking that we have to go to some different pond to do our fishing in, metaphorically speaking there. Nothing could be further from the truth. Today, I want to be clear that we're not only talking about prospecting people who already know you, though. We're especially drilling down on clients you're actually currently serving on your coaching caseload, that there are other ways that you can also serve them. And that's actually some of the statistics that we're going to unpack too here. So again, back to the title for today, your best new client is the one you already have.
Yeah. And so in my experience, one of the first points in this article that we're referencing is that repeat customers spend more money. I found this to be very, very true in my own experience, in my own practice. It's been far easier for me when I put my business development hat on and I'm thinking, you know what? I need to develop a little bit more business over the next couple months. My first go-to, the first thing that I think about is, well, what could I do for existing clients, existing customers? I'll either think about different ways that I could serve them. I'll go and meet with them and just have my listening ears on and listen for problems that I might be able to solve for them, things that I might be able to help them with, because that trust that I was talking about, that's the biggest barrier of entry, is already built with them. They have no problem when I hear a problem that I could solve or something that I could help them with. They have no problem saying, sure, go for it, and invoice us at the end of the month.
Absolutely. This article that we're citing here from Constant Contact said that repeat customers will spend somewhere around 300% more than a new customer. That's confirming what we're experiencing here. I'm going to grab a few short paragraphs from a book that I use in the course I teach here on business development for coaches. The class is called Successful Coach. And the book is called How to Become a Rainmaker. In marketing, a rainmaker is the marketing person who brings in business month after month after month. So this book, How to Become a Rainmaker by Jeffrey Fox, he has a chapter called Always Make a Mid-Job, Next Job recommendation. And that's what we're talking about here. He says the rainmaker is always alert for the next job, the next assignment, the next sale. The rainmaker knows that the easiest next sale is to a current customer. Current customers know the seller. They have an emotional investment with him and in his company. Midway through one project with a customer, the rainmaker proposes another way in which the rainmaker's company can then help the customer. Presenting a mid-job, next-job memo is a rainmaker's rule. So he gives a couple of examples here of what we're talking about. The landscaper, in the midst of sodding the yard, suggests a rock wall to reduce runoff and enhance the property. The caterer, overwhelmingly busy during a summer party, reminds her host that Christmas is only 5 months away. The lawyer, submerged in the details of a complicated estate plan, asks her client if her firm can do the client's upcoming housing purchase closing. Here's one of the key points that I think we want to underscore. Your customer does not know all that you can do for him or her. Only you know. By the time you're halfway through your current job, you should know how else you can help your customer. That's really what you're talking about, right, Nate?
Yeah, that's exactly it. And some examples that I can think of offhand, there's one client that I work with, and they've got about 18 employees or so, and I coach the two business owners, their partners. And one of the things that we've been coaching around is employee reviews. And they've moved from an annual review system to a quarterly review system, something that I've been coaching them through and encouraging them to do for a couple of years now. And they finally took the plunge to do it. And as part of that, one of the things that they came up with is having one specific goal for each employee to work on during that quarter. Not 5 goals, not some vague goals, but just one specific goal. And so one of the things that I offer to do is, well, let me sit down with each employee, and I'll sit down with them twice between each review, and we'll get very specific using my coaching hat on what that goal is going to be, some of the action steps they can take toward it, some of the obstacles that might get in the way. And it's a way that I can add value to them to help their employees stay on track to actually complete something within the company. And it's something that I'm able to charge them for too. And they said, sure, go for it. And that kind of thing happens all the time. There's another client that I have, and this is more putting my consulting hat on, where I only consult with them. And I was in their organization. I was just catching up with the business owner, and he was telling me about some of the challenges that he was having. Just about hiring right now is a real challenge for a lot of business owners. And I'm like, well, I'm doing some recruiting for this one company in a very similar capacity. And this is a system that I set up. And I'm like, well, you can use it. You can take it, whatever you want with it. And if you want me to help you with it, I'm more than happy to do it. He said, sure, go for it. Bill me at the end of the month. And so the opportunities are out there. The opportunities are out there with the people that you have. Everything that you want in your business is likely possible with the people that you know right now. You just have to have the eyes and ears for the opportunities.
I love that. And it's such a win-win-win. I mean, not only are you just simply increasing your business and your profitability with clients that you're already serving, your client who's right in front of you is getting things taken off his or her plate, making their job easier. And also it's the added value of you either speaking into or helping them with this work. So it's more likely to succeed. So the whole system that's surrounding them is going to be setting them up for even greater and greater success. And of course, it will all go back to you, Coach Nathan, for all the wonderful help you've given. And so we're in no way taking advantage of people or trying to sell people things they don't want or need. We're really trying to always create win-win scenarios.
Right. And I want to be clear on that. It's not going about this in some sort of maniacal way or trying to scheme or scam people. The heart behind it is really a heart of service, wanting to use the gifts and talents and abilities that God has given you to really, truly serve the people that are in front of you so that you're operating in the fullness of who you are and what God has equipped you for. It's not some scheme of just trying to make money. It's really about fulfilling who God created you to be.
Such a beautiful mindset. All right. Our first point was this: repeat customers or clients, they just spend more money. Number 2 is repeat customers or clients are easier to sell to. And you already spoke to that know, like, and trust factor, Nathan. But here's the astonishing statistic I'd like to cite. It said when you're marketing to a prospective customer, you only have a 13% chance of persuading them to make a purchase. However, things change when you market to a repeat customer. Repeat customers have a 60 to 70% chance of buying. It's such a powerful statistic. Yet, right before we hit the record button, Nathan, you were talking about sometimes there's an internal mindset that can actually get in your way of taking advantage of the fact that they really are easier to do business with.
Right. And for me, that often comes up in the form of, well, what will they think of me? Or what if they reject me? What it comes down to is it's all these self-centered thoughts and just really me thinking about myself more than I need to, putting more importance on the self than needs be, than putting my focus of service on the other person. And when I can focus on the other person and get outside of myself, a lot of these different mindset things that end up being obstacles or barriers tend to just dissolve and go away on their own.
They really do. It's so easy for us to hold back in fear. What will they think? When in fact, they already think well of us because we're helping them. And we literally have other ways that we know we could help them, and we're holding that back. That's a complete reversal of what should be in a good, safe, trusting business relationship. Yes, there's going to be monetary exchange, but that's because they benefit by the service. So why would we not offer that out there? I think this whole discussion spills nicely into the third point from this article, and that is that new customers cost you more. The article cites that it costs 5 times more to acquire a new customer than it does to keep a current customer. Bringing that new customer to the spending level of your current customers costs 18 times more. So building a solid base under you as a coach is one of the best ways of stabilizing your practice month to month. I can well remember when I first transitioned to this field, and several of us coaches were talking about how our caseloads were growing and what our ALOS, or our average length of stay, was. Some of my colleagues were citing statistics of 3 to 6 months. They said, my turnover is about 3 months to sometimes 4, 5, even 6 months. But then I terminate the client, and it's by mutual agreement that we achieved what we were setting out to do, and I am moving on to a new client. Average length of stay of 3 to 6 months. That didn't sit well with me because I know the value of having a stable, not turning over kind of a business underneath me. But I also had to ask, what are you coaching them around that you're able to bang it out in 3 months or 4 months? It must be relatively narrowly focused, task-specific kind of work. Because remember, people don't hire a coach if the stuff is easy. They would just do it themselves. They hire a coach when they're like, I've been working on this for a long time. There's things I must not be seeing. I don't understand why it's not working. Here we are 4 years later, and I'm still blah, blah, blah. So they hire a coach. That's macro work. That is often paradigm shifting kind of work in the way they think or the way their organization functions. And the results they're looking for will often take many months to begin to really show themselves in a predictable, stable fashion. You should not normally, in most coaching, be seeing a turnover of 3 to 6 months. And yet I find now, more than 20 years later, that is still exactly what many practicing coaches find. They're turning over quickly. And this statistic goes right to the core of that. It costs you 5 times more to acquire a new customer than it does to keep your current customers. Nathan, back to your point, not milking them, not abusing the relationship, instead being sure they understand, we can do so much more than just whatever the first thing was that they said they wanted when they hired you. There's so much more we can do.
Yeah, and for me, it ultimately comes back to coming from that place of service and having their best interest in mind. And as long as you're coming from that place and truly being of service, there's endless opportunities to be able to be with that person and serve them in different capacities. I know in my experience, when we talk about the cost of getting new customers, it especially in coaching, because there's not a whole lot of overhead, there's a lot of non-monetary cost. In my case, being more introverted, it's a lot of energy. If I want to go get a new client, I have to go network. I have to go connect with people. I have to meet with people. I have to expend all this energy. And depending on what your sales cycle looks like, it could be anywhere from a month to 3 months to 6 months to 12 months to I've had people in the pipeline for a couple years. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of attention. That's a lot of energy to spend, and hardly any dollars, but it could be taking away time that I could be spending serving existing clients and customers.
I think newer coaches, of course, filling the pipeline the first time takes so much time, so much energy, so much emotional energy. I think to think, what's my brand? How am I selling this to people? What's my unique value proposition? And on and on. And the thought of them having to do that year upon year upon year, often they can get exhausted and think, I just don't think I can keep this up. Maybe I wasn't meant to be in a coaching business. What they don't understand, right, is that foundation, that relational foundation they have with returning clients. And then to our next point, Nathan, referring clients. building a referral coaching business. In other words, the work you do is so transformational. Your clients go out and promote you for you. So talk about how that works for you, Nathan.
The way that piece works for me is I want to be so profound in my service with the existing clients that I have that they have no hesitation of referring people. And I'll get emails in my inbox almost on a weekly basis of people wanting some type of service that I offer, whether it's coaching, whether it's IT work, whether it's, project management, whatever it may be. Somebody is coming from somewhere. And so once you lay that foundation of building relationship, building trust with a handful of people, 2 handfuls of people, all you have to do is serve them well and keep on serving and serving, and they'll refer business to you automatically because there's, handfuls of people in their world who could use what you do. And the other thing too is don't be hesitant to ask for that either. One of the things that I do when I go about growing my business is not only do I sit down and listen to the needs of the clients that I have and ways that I could serve them, but I'll ask them for referrals. Who else do you know might be able to use some of the things that I do? I'm looking to grow my business. I might have 2 openings in my caseload. Who do you know might be a good fit for the things that I do that you could introduce me to, that we could have a simple conversation and see if there's various ways that I could serve them and help them in the same way that I've served and helped you over the years.
That makes so much sense, Nathan. And it explains why coaches who've been in business 5 years, 8 years, 10 years and above, such as ourselves, actually are turning away business much more than we are going out and looking for business. It's this wonderful referral process. As a matter of fact, the statistics say that repeat customers refer 50% more people than just our one-time customers. Thus, again, it's almost exponential the way the synergy grows. Once we start to have those initial clients, we serve them well, and then we serve them in different capacities, or they refer us to other people that we can serve.
I wanted to say one more thing to that point about repeat customers that promote your business. And that is a distinction that I learned a couple years ago between customer satisfaction and customer astonishment. A lot of times, one of the goals that we have as business owners is to have satisfied customers. But the problem with that is that satisfied customers often don't say anything about us because they're satisfied. When you have a good meal that you're feeling adequately full from, you don't really go talk about that meal. You just go take a nap afterwards and you're done. But if you have an excellent meal and there's a wow factor to it, it's the best wine that you've ever had. It's the best quattro formaggio chicken that you've ever had. You go talk about that restaurant to everyone. We have a favorite restaurant here in Noblesville called Matteo's, and they have some of the best Italian food ever. Their service is impeccable. The food is the best that I've ever had. We tell everybody about that restaurant. Everybody we come in contact with, it's like, have you been to Matteo's? No, you haven't? Well, you need to go there for your anniversary, for a date night, whatever it may be, because they astonish us every time we go in. Versus if we go to McDonald's, well, I came there to satisfy my hunger. I don't talk about and refer people to McDonald's. But you better bet that I refer everybody I know to Matteo's because they have that astonishment factor. And so there's this huge distinction that I think coaches and any business owner needs to make between customer satisfaction and customer astonishment. You're not shooting for satisfaction. You don't want satisfied customers. You want astonished customers and clients.
Such a beautiful distinction. Thanks for taking the time to paint that picture and actually make me a little bit hungry. All right. So the reasons we've discussed so far are repeat clients spend more money. They are easier to sell to. New customers, going out and getting that new client, will actually cost you more. Our repeat clients promote our business for us, all of which leads to this 5th point. Businesses are built on customer and client retention. And here's the statistics. By increasing customer retention by just 5%, a company's profitability will increase by an average of, I feel like we should insert a drum roll here, 75%. And we are businesses. Profit matters. Chris, you mentioned a little bit earlier about having people with an extended length of stay. Nathan, I'd love to hear your take on how you increase the length of stay or you build on customer retention.
I feel like I'm going to sound like a broken record here, but it's that heart of service and really having the customer's best interests in mind, having your listening ears on, and coming from that place of service and finding ways to serve them more and at deeper levels and in various capacities. I know for me in my business, I've had clients ever since I've been in business. Most of my clients I've had relationship with for the past 6 to 8 years. It's rare at this point that I have a client who fires me or doesn't come back around at some point or another. One coaching client that I've had, they've come back around twice now, and they're coming around the third time, where back in 2016, I was introduced to them from another client of mine. We were coaching just around business development, and we coached for a season, maybe about 6 to 8 months. And then they fell away for about a year. And then they came back around and wanted coaching on leadership development and some life balance and relationship issues. And then we coached for about a year together, and then they kind of went their own way for a little bit. And now they're coming back around to coach again on the business and some of the partnership challenges that they're having.
I think let's be clear how relatively easy and non-threatening this is to do. I'm going to just suggest a very simple little role play here of what it looks like when you're serving a customer outstandingly well. You know that your client loves the results that they're getting from their coaching with you. And maybe they come to a session where they say, you know what, things are just really doing great. I mean, I was actually messing with my prep form yesterday to send to you for today's session, and I realized, man, we've hit almost all the goals that we set out for. Some of what we're working on right now is going to take another couple of months for us to see the fruit from it. I'm not sure what to focus on for today. I, as the coach, am going to respond to that very common result in a coaching session with something like this. Well, hey, congratulations. That's really exciting. And this is exactly the point that we always want to work toward in coaching around any area of gap, that we gain the ground we were looking for, and we recognize that it's not like everything's going to be tied up with a little package with a bow on top. But if this is not really something we need to focus on today, we could easily just turn our attention to some other area of gap and see if in today's session, perhaps even some further sessions, you might close a gap in some other area as well. About 3 weeks ago, you were mentioning, and then fill in the blank with whatever they happen to have mentioned. Maybe you're coaching them on their business or their ministry work, and they happen to have mentioned relationship with their teenager, or that their diet is just off the rails again, or they've got to get back to their exercise routine, or, man, after filing taxes this year, I realized we've got to get a better handle on our budget. It doesn't matter what the issue is. Coaches close gaps. All human beings at any time in life have any number of gap areas in their lives. So to be able to meet your client in the safety and the trust that they know they have in that relationship with you, and to celebrate that they've gained ground in one other area and turn their attention gently but clearly to some other area. Maybe you don't even have one to suggest. You just open the door. We'll talk about some of the areas that you're recognizing right now you have some gaps. Well, you know, last week when we were on a date, my wife and I were talking about blah, blah, blah. So whatever comes out, because of that know, like, and trust factor, they're not saying to you, by not having something they want to coach on today, hey, I'm ready to quit. They're saying, I don't know where to focus. Help them through a coach approach to figure out where to focus. Guaranteed there are other areas of gap. And you probably have not only identified another way to serve them better, you have also once again strengthened the base of your business. And no, you are not milking or taking any kind of an undue advantage of that relationship. You are doing what coaches do best. It's all of why people hire us in the first place.
Yeah, and a lot of that is just taking more leadership as a coach. Oftentimes in coaching, a lot of it is the way that we're trained. It's kind of ingrained in us that the client sets the agenda. And, you know, if they don't come with an agenda, we kind of feel bad about that. Or it's like, well, we can't suggest anything or anything like that. And it's just a matter of shifting a little bit to take a little bit of leadership, like Chris was saying, and ask about other areas. I have a client that I've worked with for a couple years now. And we've primarily coached around business over the years and growing her practice. And she came a couple weeks ago to the session, very similar to Chris, like, I'm not really sure what to talk about. Like, the things in my business are going well. I'm not really sure what to work on. And so I brought up, well, I know several weeks ago we were talking about you taking a vacation and needing a little bit of rest. How's that working out for you? Then we ended up having an hour-long conversation about that and the ways that she's not taking care of herself in the way that she needs to.
That's it exactly. That's it exactly. It doesn't need to be any more complicated than that. But hear, listener, that it is intentional. You, as the business owner, are consciously aware of listening for those mid-job, next-job leads, as Jeffrey Fox was saying in that Rainmaker book. You are listening for them because they don't know what you can do. You know what you could do. Be bold enough to put it out there in a question form and see what happens. What probably will happen is that you will stabilize your practice and gain all the benefits that this article is happening. In fact, Kim, give us a rundown again of those 5 key points here as to why your best new client is the one you already have.
Gladly. Reason number 1, repeat clients spend more money. Number 2, repeat clients are easier to sell to. Number 3, those new clients, it's going to cost you more. And as Nathan said, not just more money, but more time and more energy. Number 4, repeat clients are going to promote your business for you. It doesn't get any better than that. And number 5, businesses really are built on customer retention. There's statistics to support each and every one of those reasons. But Nathan, I really appreciate you coming in today to paint a coach-like picture of how that works out in real life. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be with both of you.
And if you would like to connect with Nathan, you can do that at his website, nathankrieger.com. Let me spell Krieger. It's Kreger, nathankrieger.com.
And while you're on the web, if this has stirred up a lot of your awareness of the need to maybe take a fresh, critical look at your coaching business and your average length of stay, what the turnover is on your caseload and how much you are spending time, energy, and money-wise in securing new clients, let me encourage you to look at that course, The Successful Coach. We teach it 3 times a year. It's almost always coming right back around again. In fact, we just started another offering of it this very month. You might be able to jump into that one or take the one for the fall here in 2022. But you'll find information about The Successful Coach at professionalchristiancoaching.com. professionalchristiancoaching.com. And with that, gang, until next time, you keep raising the standard of coaching and changing the world.
God's richest blessings to you.